Remember the thrill of shifting gears yourself? The subtle art of timing the clutch, the connection between man and machine. That feeling is vanishing. Across the globe, fewer cars are offering manuals, fewer drivers are learning them, and automakers are quietly, phasing them out. In today's video, we deep dive into the death of the manual transmission. Who's to blame? If you're passionate about driving, this one hits close to home. Now, before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome auto guides, and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know when we publish a new video. So now, let's cut to the chase. A brief history of the stick shift. Manual transmissions, often called stick shifts, were once the standard. In fact, before the mid-20th century, every driver had to know how to shift gears manually. It was simply part of the driving experience. Early cars used basic unsynchronized gearboxes that required skill, timing, and sometimes a bit of muscle. But with the rise of synchronized gearboxes and later automatic transmissions, ease of use began to take priority over driving engagement. By the 1950s and 60s, automatics became increasingly popular in North America. Brands like General Motors introduced innovations like the Hydra-Matic, which promised a shiftless driving experience. At first, these systems were less efficient and more expensive, but as technology improved, automatics became cheaper, more reliable, and even more fuel efficient, eliminating one of the few advantages manuals had left. In Europe and parts of Asia, manual transmissions remained dominant for decades longer. They were more fuel efficient and cheaper to produce, especially in smaller economy cars. Enthusiasts and professional drivers loved them for the direct mechanical control they offered, something automatics simply couldn't replicate. Yet, over time, convenience won out. Traffic congestion, growing urbanization, and changing consumer preferences shifted the market's focus. The once common clutch pedal started disappearing. Yes, really. Today in the US, less than 1% of new cars are sold with manual transmissions. And actually, many major manufacturers have stopped offering them entirely. The stick shift isn't just a gear system, it's a cultural artifact. And understanding how we got here is key to understanding, where it might go next. Consumer convenience and changing preferences. One of the biggest reasons manuals aren't dying isn't technology, it's us, the drivers. Over the past few decades, car buyers have consistently shown a preference for convenience, comfort, and ease of use. Automatic transmissions simply deliver that better for the average driver. With modern urban traffic and long commutes, many drivers don't want to deal with clutch pedals and constant shifting. Automatic transmissions allow you to focus on navigation, music, and even in some cases, texting or handling infotainment systems, none of which pair well with a stick shift. Automatics also provide a smoother ride in stop-and-go traffic, which is where most daily driving now happens. Another factor is the rise of ride-sharing and car rentals, where companies standardize on automatics to ensure that every customer, regardless of skill level, can actually operate the vehicle. The result? Fewer people learn to drive stick, and fewer people demand them. Then there's the marketing narrative. Of course, automatics are no longer seen as sluggish or inferior. Thanks to advanced transmission systems like dual-clutch gearboxes, DCTs, and continuously variable transmissions, CVTs of course, automatic cars can now shift faster than any human and even offer fuel economy equal to or better than a manual. How about that? For most people, it's a no-brainer. Car manufacturers respond to market trends. If people aren't buying manuals, automakers won't waste money designing or certifying them. Obviously, this creates a feedback loop. Fewer manuals on the market mean fewer opportunities for new drivers to learn, which in turn reduces demand even more. In essence, the decline of the manual transmission isn't being forced on us, it's happening because most drivers don't want to drive one anymore. It's that simple, and that's perhaps the most powerful force of all. The rise of modern transmission technology. As technology evolved, so did the sophistication of gearboxes. The manual transmission's once dominant edge, efficiency, durability, and driver control was slowly eroded by engineering breakthroughs in the world of automatics. Today's automatic transmissions are nothing like their clunky, fuel-hungry ancestors. Oh no. Enter the world of dual-clutch transmissions, or DCTs, which offer lightning-fast gear shifts with virtually no interruption in power delivery. Originally developed for high-performance racing, DCTs have made their way into everything from sports cars to commuter hatchbacks. They offer manual-like control with none of the hassle. Then you have the CVTs, or continuously variable transmissions. Yeah, that's what it is. These use a belt and pulley system to provide seamless acceleration without fixed gear ratios, giving drivers better fuel economy and a smoother ride, especially in small city cars and hybrids. They're efficient, cheap to manufacture, and very popular in Asia and North America. Even traditional automatics with torque converters have seen massive improvements. Modern 8-speed, 9-speed and even 10-speed gearboxes are finely tuned for performance, comfort and fuel efficiency. They adapt to driving conditions, learn your behaviour, yes they really do, and shift with such precision that even trained drivers struggle to outperform them. The level of automation and precision has closed the performance gap that once made manuals the default for driving purists. Adding features like paddle shifters, sport modes and launch control, whatever that may be, and it's easy to see why most automakers now see manuals as, well, redundant. It's not just about performance either. Regulations and emissions standards also play a role. Advanced automatics help manufacturers meet fuel efficiency targets and emission limits, making them the more strategic choice. In the end, it's a case of better tools replacing older ones, not out of disrespect, but out of progress. The Enthusiast resistance. Who's still driving stick? Despite the industry's shift toward automatics, a passionate minority continues to champion manual transmissions. These are the enthusiasts, the purists, the gearheads, who see driving not just as transportation, but as an experience. For them, the clutch pedal and gear lever aren't outdated tools, they're symbols of engagement, control and personality. Shifting gears by hand connects the driver to the machine in a way that no automatic ever could. The rev match, the perfect heel and toe downshift, the timing. It's a dance, and mastering it brings joy. Automakers have taken notice. Brands like Mazda, Subaru, Porsche and even Toyota still offer manual options in performance models like the MX-5 Miata, GR86, BRZ and even the GR Corolla. Porsche famously delayed the death of the manual in the 911 lineup due to enthusiast outcry. Yes, and Honda's Civic Si and Type R continue to offer slick shifting manuals that are praised globally. What's more, there's a growing niche of manual-only driving schools and online communities. YouTube creators teach the art of shifting, while car meetups celebrate vintage and performance models that still let the driver take full control. Some manufacturers have even marketed their manuals with pride. Hyundai, for instance, launched its N series with the tagline, "Save the Manuals," tapping into the growing sense of nostalgia and resistance among driving enthusiasts. The manual transmission may be dying in mass-market vehicles, but it thrives in the heart of those who love driving for the sake of driving. And as long as there's a market, however small, there will be cars made for them. Is there a future for the manual transmission? Big question. The future of manuals, well, it's complicated. While their market share continues to shrink, it's not entirely doom and gloom. There are several reasons to believe manuals might never fully disappear. At least not without a fight. First, consider the collector's market. Manual cars, especially those from the 80s, 90s and early 2000s, are now fetching premiums. Yes, premiums. Models like the E46 BMW M3, the Acura Integra Type R, and even older Mustangs and Supras are becoming modern classics, largely because they come with a stick. This surge in collectability could preserve manual-equipped vehicles long into the future, even if they stop being produced. Next, we have synthetic driving experiences. Well, what's that, you might say? Some automakers and engineers are experimenting with manual simulations for electric vehicles. Toyota, for example, is reportedly working on an EV that includes a manual shifter and clutch, purely for driving feel. It doesn't serve a mechanical function, but aims to replicate the thrill of shifting gears. perhaps giving manuals a spiritual afterlife in the electric era, no less. Meanwhile, developing countries and budget vehicle segments may hold on to manuals longer. In markets where cost and simplicity still matter, a manual gearbox is cheaper to produce, easier to repair, and ideal for fuel savings. Still, it's likely that manuals will become a specialty offering, reserved for enthusiasts, retro-inspired cars, and a few economy vehicles in select regions. They'll become more like vinyl records in a Spotify world, if you will. Not practical for most, but cherished by a few. Will they make a grand comeback? Probably not. But the big question is, will they disappear completely? Not as long as someone still wants to drive. Manual transmissions might be fading from the mainstream, but they're far from forgotten. Their legacy lives on in the hands of enthusiasts, the footwork of purists, and the nostalgic pull of simpler times. Whether they survive as niche offerings, collector's items, or clever simulations in the EV world, one thing is clear: they've left an impact that automatics simply can't erase. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the death of the manual transmission. Who's to blame? If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next documentary on the future of automotive tech. Let us know in the comments. Do you still drive a manual, or is it time to move on?